Thank you. My name is Henry Clark. I'm a partner in the law firm of Clark, Canton, Henry in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And I represent roughly 100 private schools like JRC in Massachusetts. Virtually all of them are represented by our firm in one capacity or another, including all of the schools that are residential schools for autistic children, many of whom are the only viable alternatives at some point in time to JRC for a lot of these most severely challenged children. And I know for a fact that there are only two alternatives, practical in the trench alternatives for children if they are unable to be served at a May or a NEC or a Melmark or an Evergreen, all of which are clients of mine. Those alternatives are, and they're rare, it doesn't happen often, but when children have to leave a program like that, which are all ABA positive reinforcement programs, there are two alternatives. One is psychiatric locked hospitalization and heavy-duty drug into a condition where there's no learning, there's nothing going on. Or Judge Rotenberg Center, which does not drug students and where they have a quality of life, notwithstanding occasional shocks or perhaps other reverses, that I think is remarkable. I'm here today as a private citizen because I have been following this debate about aversives in Massachusetts since 1985, when all of this started in earnest. And I've been to a lot of hearings, and it has always struck me as terribly tragic that there is an irreconcilable gulf between the two sides of this issue. On one hand, you have the opponents of bills that would propose to ban aversives, saying primarily family members and loved ones of people at JRC, because that's the epicenter of this discussion, essentially saying, in one form or another, this program saved my child's life. And if it weren't for this program, my child would be nowhere, and the program brought my child back into the realm of being a human being again. One of my closest friends who had a child at JRC years ago said that to me in terms of the appreciation for what had happened. I'm not going to go through the stories because you heard eloquent testimony from families today, much better than I could do. But that testimony is real. It's honest and it's real. It may be emotional, but it's honest and it's real. On the other side of that gulf, and I'm reflecting now on almost 25 years of listening to this kind of testimony and reading all the stuff that's on the internet about the anti-JRC things, you hear terms like barbaric, criminal, electrocution, violation of the Geneva Convention. Treatment of prisoners of war is better than what happens at JRC. That is hyperbolic rhetoric that has nothing to do with the realities of what is going on at JRC and calls into question, in my mind, the integrity of people who make statements like that, which are either woefully uninformed or are intentionally uninformed. And my only caution today, and I'm testifying essentially in opposition to a total ban on aversives. I agree with Representative who spoke, Sybeck, that a total ban on aversives would be a major league disaster for many of these families and many of these children at JRC and perhaps otherwise. I'm thrilled that there are academics around the country who are coming up with new ideas all the time, and at some point, those ideas may bear fruit, and I'm sure everyone of goodwill would welcome them. But the reality today is that there are very few options for these children, and if JRC is unable to continue its treatment program, it will be an unmitigated nightmare for many of these families and these children. So I'd urge you to go very slow, to check all kinds of references and the information that's been made. A lot of it is secondhand, a lot of it is third-hand. Some of it's from disgruntled ex-employees, some of it's from people who heard something from somebody else. None of that kind of testimony would stand up in a court of law, obviously. So I would hope that as the committee proceeds to evaluate these bills and to look at its options, it will do a lot of due diligence on what information it has available and how it handles it. Thank you very much.
Questions for the panel? Thank you very much. You make yourselves available to us. Yes, we're coming out.